and we'll spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about what's most important. So at a high level, you probably want to know three things. What changed? What do I have to do about it? And what's it going to cost me? So let's start with the first. What changed? We made actually quite a few changes this year, and that was because we wanted the cost to impact you in the most beneficial way possible. We've had Blue Cross Blue Shield for a couple of years on a couple of different lines of coverage, and their offer just made no sense. So we took it to market. We always test what the incumbent carrier or the renewing carrier has in terms of price and coverage. And so United Healthcare ended up coming to the table with a better deal. We don't want to have to change because we realize there's disruption involved, but when an insurance carrier cannot sharpen their pencil enough for whatever reason, then we are really forced to move. And while doing that, we want to make sure that the benefits are still really, really good and that the price point is still really, really good. So we made a change on medical. We'll talk more about that. And then on all of the rest of the stuff, all of the non-medical lines, we moved to one carrier called Principal. And that was primarily driven by rate action as well. We got a good offer from Principal. We have done business with them in the past. It's a good carrier. Their network is all over the place, as is United Healthcare. And so we made some changes this year, but it was because of the impact on the rate. So that's really what I'm going to be talking about. In terms of what you have to do about it, I'm going to ask Aranya to clarify something so I don't lie to you. Aranya, are we going online like we have in the past to Employee Navigator on the 16th? Is that the right date?
That is what I was told, that the site will be ready, but I have not received confirmation from Sandra yet. I think she's working with Samantha Lozano to get that confirmation. So I'm going to touch base with Sandra after our meeting today, after this meeting, and get confirmation so I can get the instructions sent out to everybody to enroll once I have that confirmation.
Okay, that sounds great. Y'all, that was kind of some backroom chatter. Sandra and Samantha both work in our office here at Catto, and they help make sure the site is up and ready. And so there's nothing for you to act on today, but it'll either be the 16th or the 18th, and we'll send out an email communication with a link letting you know where to go. Okay. This is page one. The benefit offerings are the same as they were last year. We're still offering the same insurance products on the top of page one. On the bottom of page one, the reason why that's important is you see those bullet points. Those are reasons why you can change your election in the middle of a benefit year. So in general, what you pick sticks for a year, unless you have one of these IRS approved reasons that you can change. Oh, I forgot to say this. Can everybody, unless you have a question, I'm going to pause a number of different times for questions. Can you all put yourselves on mute so there's no background chatter, please?
Yeah, please put on mute, not on mute, not on hold, because we
not on hold.
We'll hear the music.
If you just have to listen to that song, just email me separately and I'll just send you the link to iTunes because I do think it's a good song. Okay. All right, so here's where your eyeballs can kind of go crossed. Here's what's going on with this page. You still have the same two plan options. You have an HSA plan and then you have a PPO plan or a copay plan. You have a base plan that is less expensive and a buy-up option that is more expensive. Those choices remain the same. Here's the big difference this year. Other than the fact that we switched to United Healthcare, what you'll see is the difference between these two plans is this area right here. One plan that is less expensive has no out-of-network benefits. One plan that does have out-of-network benefits is more expensive. And I'm going to scroll through a page that I'll cover in just a sec. If you are enrolled in employee-only coverage on the least expensive option, $48.36 per paycheck. If you're enrolled on the same HSA plan, but it has out-of-network benefits, it costs just a little more. So that's a decision that you can make that we have not had on the table in the past. So let me explain a couple of important features about the way that the plan on the left, which has no out-of-network benefits, works as opposed to the plan on the right. So the plan on the right is more like what you have today. You can go anywhere you want, but anywhere you want to go may or may not be currently contracted with Blue Cross Blue Shield, meaning they may be in or out of network. If you go out of network, your deductible and the out-of-pocket maximum always was, always will be a lot higher than if you stay in the network. Now, one of the things that we always have to manage for Pharmacare, because you guys are all over, is we have to make sure that if we put a carrier in front of you that has no out-of-network benefits, then those in-network benefits better be pretty doggone robust. And so there's a couple different ways to test that. We have lots of clients with this plan on the left is called an EPO, exclusive provider, EPO type of a plan. The plan on the left is a preferred provider, like a PPO plan. So that's the one that has out-of-network benefits. A couple of more important pieces of information on the EPO, or the one with no out-of-network benefits. I'm not talking about emergency situations. If, God forbid, well, okay, like today, I was driving in between San Antonio, Texas, and Shiner, Texas, to go to a meeting. And I passed on the way between San Antonio and Shiner an unfortunate accident. And I actually, I didn't witness the accident happen, but I saw the aftermath, and there were ambulances coming. If that, God forbid, is you, and that ambulance takes you to the closest hospital, and that hospital is not contracted with United Healthcare, that's okay. It's covered by law to make sure that if it's an emergency situation, that those services are covered as in-network. I'm talking about your pre-scheduled back surgeries or knee surgeries, something that you would call ahead in advance, and somebody at the hospital would verify benefits with United Healthcare. And so we've got lots of clients with an EPO plan. It's a little less expensive, but there's a reason for that. There are no out-of-network benefits. As a contrast, the plan on the right-hand side is the exact same benefit as the plan on the left. It just has out-of-network benefits. So if for whatever reason that kind of fries the circuits of not having out-of-network benefits, then go with the plan on the right. If that's not an issue, then go with the plan on the left. That would be assuming you want the HSA style plan. A couple more important points on all HSAs. And y'all have had an HSA for years in the past, so many of you already know this drill. Everything goes towards your deductible right here in the middle of the page, and your out-of-pocket maximum right here at the end of the page, at the bottom of the page, excuse me. So preventative services covered at 0% to you, so those are freebies. So annual exams, mammograms, pap smears, colonoscopies, if you're over 50, as long as they're preventative, are all covered by the plan. What catches people sometimes, and you guys know this by virtue of what you do, is if somebody goes into a preventative exam and they ask about a mole that is growing on their back, and the doctor says, let me test that, that is no longer preventative. That is considered diagnostic, and that charge applies towards your deductible and the out-of-pocket max. So everything on an HSA plan goes towards the out-of-pocket maximum. I have a high deductible health plan like this for myself and my family. And for that reason, you get, I'm going to scroll through, but I'm going to come back to all of this. Where do we highlight? Hang on just a second. I realize I'm scrolling quickly. I may have, for that reason on the HSA plan, this is a generous feature. Pharmacare puts in $23.08 per pay period up to a max of $600 a year into the HSA bank account for you. If you want to payroll deduct more, which I highly suggest because you don't pay tax on that money and that's your money in that bank account, you can put up to the amounts shown here in 2019 and then in 2020 They always index according to Consumer Price Index every year, so they change by a little bit. You can put extra money into the account, which I always highly encourage. So the high deductible health plan is the only plan that has this HSA bank account attached to it. I'm going to rewind, and I'm going to pause there for any questions that y'all might have on the HSA plan before we go to the buy-up option. Any questions?
Hi, this is Quint with Riverside. I do have a question in regards to the EPO HSA plan, and going back to what you referenced in regards to the emergency situation. Sometimes whenever you have to have an emergency type surgery, like appendectomy or so, you get multiple bills from providers that you really don't have control over. And so I've had bills like from laboratories or from doctors that read tests, pathologists that weren't in network. Is that something that would be still considered under the emergency event, or would those actually be out of network benefits?
That's a great question. So I'm going to give you the actual correct answer, and then you and I both know sometimes how the real world works, and that they may just send you a bill anyways, because that happened to me. Even though I went to an in-network facility, I don't have United Healthcare. I have an insurance carrier called Humana, and I'm still getting bills from about everybody and their dog. And I'm having to argue those even though I have network benefits. So there's the right answer is, if it is an emergency situation, it's required to be covered as in network. Okay, that's the technically right answer. That does not mean that a provider, if they are out of network, is still going to try and get some money from you on a bill. If that happens, I want you to call one person who will route you to another person. There's a woman named Sandra in our office. She's the Pharmacare dedicated account manager, and she's going to help you by facilitating an introduction to a woman named Linda in my office. All Linda does, God bless her heart, all day, every day, is help other people's claims problems. So she is our claims specialist. And so in that example, if you're getting bills and you need to know, do I really owe this? Or like the technical response would be, if the plan doesn't cover it, then it is not an eligible expense to be sent to the plan. So the provider, just like they're doing to me, and I even have out-of-network benefits on the plan that I chose, they're still sending me a bill. And so I want you to get Linda involved, because that's the stickiest situation with any no out-of-network benefit plan designs. That having been said, honestly, we don't get a tremendous amount of phone calls into our office in regards to the United Healthcare no out-of-network plan designs. I honestly thought we would get more when this product first came out, but their in-network provider list is so large, but it never means that everybody is in network. So you're bringing up the stickiest area of risk with an out-of-network benefit.
Yeah, I think it's probably
so they're not supposed to,
common.
But it doesn't mean that they won't.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Good question. Any other questions? All right. If you think of something, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll keep progressing to the copay options. Okay. What you'll see here, the plan on the left is the exact same as the plan on the right. The copays to go to the doctor, the copays to get a prescription drug down here are the exact same. The deductible is the exact same. The only difference is one has out-of-network benefits and one has in-network benefits. And Plan 3 and Plan 4 here are the price tags for it. A great way to see if you would like to is download the United Healthcare app. There's also a bunch of information. I'll go back to this. MyAllSaversConnect.com is a good thing to download. UHC has some pretty user-friendly apps and websites. So to do a little research in advance of making your choice, especially because the online enrollment system will be live at some point next week. So doing a little bit of research to see whether or not the out-of-network benefit really matters to you would be a really, really good idea. That way you can just have United Healthcare tell you whether the doctors that you're currently going to see are in their network or not. And on that note, I failed to mention this earlier, and I should have. Because we are changing carriers, that carrier change goes into effect on October 1st. So a couple of things will happen on that date. That means that if whatever portion of the deductible that you met with Blue Cross Blue Shield will be transferred over to United Healthcare, and then deductibles always reset January 1st. So they always start over January 1st, no matter when your plan renews. But I would encourage you, just from a transition standpoint, fill any prescriptions that you currently have on Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you need to get in one more doctor visit, you've got till the end of the month to do that. Sometimes doctors are contracted with both Blue Cross and United Healthcare. In fact, that happens a lot, but not every doctor will be. So there's some helpful websites to go to for United Healthcare. I'm going to rewind back here and go back to the benefits because they're largely the same as they were last year. This virtual visit, $0 copay, you also have that on the HSA option. That is 24/7, 365 access to a doctor on your phone. So when you've got those seasonal allergies and you just need somebody to write you a script, that's a great way to get it. I've done that before. When my 2-year-old came home and she was staring at me with 2 red eyes because I watch a lot of doctors' movies at night, and I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express last night, I deduced that she had pink eye, primarily because her older brother had pink eye. And so I used my TV watching skills and put them to really good work. And I thought she had pink eye. And so I called the doctor on the phone. It took me 15 minutes to get some amoxicillin prescribed to the closest pharmacy to me. That was way better than going to sit in an urgent care facility or a doctor's office and getting sicker. So it's just a real user-friendly way, and we'll highlight what that vendor is. It's already baked into the plan. I made mention of a urgent care provider, and you guys know this. This is just a good time to repeat it. Is you'd really do yourself a tremendous disservice if you went to the ER and you don't need to be there. That's life and limb threatening. I had a friend who was pregnant at the time. She was dehydrated, so anytime baby's involved, you have to be very cautious. But she thought she was going into an urgent care provider, and she walked into a freestanding emergency room, which is an emergency room outside of a hospital. And she walked out with about a $4,000 bill for saline from a freestanding ER. And try as she might, she can call Linda and we could help arrange a payment plan for her. But she's responsible for that bill. And so that is not something that you want to do. So stay away from freestanding ERs. They look like urgent cares if you don't need to be there. We already covered that page. That's My All Savers Connect. This Healthiest You is what I was just talking about. That's your virtual visit. So that's downloaded on an app. Healthiest You is called the app. Best Doctors is a second opinion. So if you'd like a second opinion, you will access best doctors through Healthiest You. So download this app and you'll get this along with it. This is a second opinion. This is 24/7, 365 access to a doctor. Pretty cool. More information on Healthiest You is on this page. Okay, next couple of pages refer to wellness. So UHC, you can actually earn up to $1,000 a year for tracking your steps. The details are in here. I'm not going to cover that just in consideration of length of the meeting, and bless your hearts, it's 3:25 in Texas, and we're talking about insurance. So I will try and get through the information as quickly as I can. But you can earn some extra money by tracking your steps. If you have more questions about that program, honestly, just call Sandra, and Sandra will connect you with another woman in our office whose name is Michelle. Michelle is our wellness director. She's got a lot more information on that. So just put it in the back of your mind. If this is interesting, call Sandra and she'll get you to Michelle. Michelle can explain more. Another thing you can do that is wellness related underneath United Healthcare is a program called Real Appeal. So this is basically a virtual personal coaching and training session where they'll send you some of the screenshotted stuff at the bottom, and it is for you get online coaching. And so if you'd like to take a little more progressive approach towards coaching, then Real Appeal is a good option to consider, and it's already baked into the program. This slide we already talked about. These are your HSA contribution limits, and as a reminder, Pharmacare puts money into that HSA on your behalf. Speaking of an HSA, you can go mobile just like everybody else is doing. So the provider is Medcom, and you can just download an app. Look at where you are on your HSA. Okay, let's talk about your teeth. We changed insurance carriers to the principal, and that was largely driven by the rate. So the rates here are pretty inexpensive for the benefit that you receive. And let me explain how it works. A $2,000 annual maximum means something like this. Ben goes in to get his annual teeth cleaning. That is $0. My deductible is waived. But when I go in, the doctor says I've been eating too many cavities, and I've got a cavity, and that costs $200. I'm gonna make up a number. So I first meet my deductible of 50 bucks. So 200 minus 50 is $150. And because a cavity is considered a basic service, I'm paying 20% after my deductible. So I'm paying 20% of $150, which is 30 bucks. And the insurance carrier is paying 80% of that $150, which is $120. And that $120 that they just paid reduces that $2,000 annual max. So think about the annual max like a bucket of money that principal is going to throw at your mouth every year. Now, if you have expenses that you would plan on exceeding that amount, then you've got two vehicles, so to speak, that you can drive where you can pre-tax money to be able to pay for it. Number one, if you're on the medical HSA plan, you can set aside extra money in there. Number two, if you're on the buy-up option, then there is a vehicle called a flexible spending account that is a good vehicle for known and planned expenses. We'll talk more about the FSA. It's only available for people on the buy-up plan. So think of peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly would be the HSA and the base plan option. Peanut butter and jelly would be the buy-up option and the flexible spending account. You can't break that peanut butter and jelly up. It causes all sorts of problems in the universe, and they just go together. So also causes problems with the IRS, actually. Not the peanut butter and jelly. That's where the analogy kind of breaks down. But you can't have the health savings account plan and the flexible spending account plan at the same time. That peanut butter and jelly don't mix. So if you have expenses that would exceed that $2,000 or expenses that are medical in nature that you'd like to set aside money for, then you could use the HSA if you're on the high deductible health plan or the HSA plan to be able to do that. Or if you're on the buy-up option, you've got the flexible spending account. Okay, vision. Rates are pretty inexpensive. Here's what you get for it. This once every means you either get glasses or contacts, not both. Glasses or contacts, not both. In the same benefit year. So you get 30 bucks for frames, and lenses are on the copays. The only note to self here is that I've got to shrink down my lenses by quite a bit just to fit on my face, and that's a choice. So I got to get kind of the thinnest, lightest ones. I'm not getting out for a $10 copay. Whereas if your vision's a lot better than mine, you could get out for a $10 copay. It really just depends on what you want to do with those lenses. Contact lenses are $130. I will say there are a lot of good online glasses and lenses retailers. I mean, my wife has a pair of Warby Parker glasses for like every outfit she owns. It's a total style statement. In fact, I was eating lunch in Austin a couple of weeks ago here in Texas, and a guy was waiting on me, and he had just lenses on his face, but he didn't have, or excuse me, just frames on his face, but he had no lenses. So apparently, if you're a millennial, you can't be cool anymore, at least without like frames. He didn't even have any lenses in him, which is the first time I saw that. Okay. Let's talk about some free stuff. Everybody likes free stuff. So this is a generous feature of your plan, and it is because it's paid for by Pharmacare on your behalf. Everybody gets 1 times annual salary up to $50,000. When you go on to Employee Navigator, that would be the time to update your beneficiary information. That's who catches the football, so to speak. If you're not holding it anymore, it's got to go somewhere. So you want to make sure that that is accurate and updated. Now, what page 17 means is this. If you want more life insurance than the free stuff that your employer pays for, you can buy it. Buy it in a couple different ways, or not at all. It's what's called voluntary. So if you want it, buy it. If you don't, don't. There is this magic word called guarantee issue. That means no medical questions asked. Ain't nobody asking about your business. So that's $100,000. So if you want $100,000, then it is guaranteed. You are guaranteed to be underwritten. If you want up to $500,000, then there's something called an evidence of insurability. Somebody is going to come to your office or home, do a little poking and prodding, take the sample back to the underwriter, and it will be approved or not. So that part's not automatic. So there are a lot of rates in here. What will be easier, and I realize you kind of have to turn your head to the left to see it. I'm not going to go over these rates because when you go online to Employee Navigator, you'll be able to move a button and see it more easily. But these rates are by benefit amount and how old or young you are. So that's something to look at a later date. Okay. Let's talk about insurance for your paycheck. That's what disability insurance is. Disability insurance is insurance for your paycheck. The reason I say that is because of this. If, God forbid, you are injured and cannot go back to work in any capacity, then up to 60% of your pre-disability earnings is protected via an insurance policy. There's some different amounts. It's protected up to Social Security normal retirement age. That is free to you. And that coverage ain't cheap, boys and girls. That is not inexpensive. It is not inexpensive to insure somebody's paycheck for a very long portion of time. So that's another added generous feature of the Pharmacare plan. Now, what is up to you is what happens if something goes on in the short term. Do you want to insure up to $1,500 per week for 11 weeks? That through a short-term disability policy. You'll be able to see the rates at the bottom, and you'll be able to calculate it if math is your jam, or you'll be able to move a button on Employee Navigator. So you've got these two vehicles to protect portions of your paycheck. Long-term disability, that's free to you, that's awesome. Short-term disability, that is a cost to you, and you either choose to bear that risk or buy an insurance policy that protects up to $1,500 a week for 11 weeks. Okay, we've got some more information on both of these two things, EAP and Travel Assist. EAP is for any employee or your family. It is online, or excuse me, over the phone counseling. I'll give some more examples of some things that matter in the EAP contract. It's already baked into the insurance program, and it's totally confidential. Travel Assist is when you're traveling more than 100 miles away from home. And I'll actually show you some examples of why that's cool. So these next couple of pages where it says help handling life's up and downs, that is EAP. That is already baked into the plan. So there are some more examples and some contact information there. This slide refers to the travel insurance protection that is already there. The most common thing that people ask, like, can they help me like find my lost bags? It's really like if you lose your passport, help getting to and from the embassy, things like that. And so here's some lost or stolen items language in here that y'all can read later. Emergency medical transportation, that's pretty interesting, but I hope you'd never have to use it. There's a website and a mobile app for Travel Assist. This slide is the flexible spending account option. Okay, so here's the deal on an FSA. Firstly, you have to be on the buy-up option to be eligible to enroll on the flexible spending account option. It's number one. You cannot have the high deductible health plan or HSA option and enroll in the flexible account option. Remember, those are peanut butter and jelly. In that context, they don't go together. Here's how an FSA works. Let's say that I knew that I was going to have an upcoming surgery. And just to make it a really easy and perfect example, let's say I knew that I'd be looking at $2,700. I could choose to payroll deduct $2,700 evenly throughout the year, but I get all of that money as soon as I make my election for 10/1. So I get 100% of it up front loaded onto a card, but I actually hadn't paid for it yet. I payroll deduct it evenly throughout the year. That's what an FSA does. Now, an FSA is a really good idea if you have a planned expense. Like, I know I'm going to need some work done, so I'm going to set aside some money in my flexible spending account. It's a really bad idea for an unplanned expense. It is not a savings vehicle. And that's because the IRS puts a limitation on it. If you don't use the money by 90 days after the plan ends, you have this thing called a grace period, 2.5-month grace period at the end of the plan year. The IRS says that you either use that money or you lose it. So if you don't use it within 2.5 months after the end of the plan year, then the money is recouped from you. And that's set by the IRS, not by us or by Pharmacare. So you just want to make sure if you're dealing with an FSA, it's a great vehicle, but it's for planned expenses. It reduces your taxable income. Okay, the rest of the information in here are great late night reading material, required notices, things of that nature that we're not going to cover today. The last thing that I'll comment on before we open it up to any final questions and then release you back to your day is this page. So what did we just cover? People can enroll in, or terminate coverage right now during open enrollment. And we'll send you some more information in regards to Employee Navigator with some instructions about how to do that. Aranya is really on point with this program, and she uses us when she needs us. So we don't go anywhere throughout the year. Sandra is currently sitting waiting for you to call with problems. If you have any problems, Sandra loves problems. We've got a variety of people that can help in a couple of different ways, whether it's just a general issue or a general question, or if you've got a claim issue, we can help with that. If you have a question that is wellness related on either motion or real appeal, Sandra will route that to Michelle, who is our wellness coordinator in our office. And so we're always here throughout the year. Okay, Aranya, was there anything that I did not cover today that we need to cover before we release these folks to the rest of their day?
I just wanted to reemphasize regarding the qualifying change. If you have a qualifying event change, you will need to notify me within 30 days of that change. Otherwise, you will not be able to make changes to your benefit until the next open enrollment.
That is correct.
And also, we will have to we will have a very quick turnaround deadline to complete the enrollment. So currently, as I mentioned, I don't have the confirmation yet, but I will let you know as soon as I have the confirmation. But we are scheduled to be able to access the Employee Navigator to begin completing enrollment on Monday. So the deadline to complete the enrollment is noon on Wednesday. We got to get everybody enrolled so that our broker can do their magic and get everybody finalized and get them submitted to the provider. That's
all. A quick turnaround for enrollment, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to give you a couple days just to think about it, and then a couple of days to act on it.
All right, going once, going twice. Any other questions? Okie dokie. Thank you so much, Ben. Oh, I'm sorry. Did someone have a question? Okay, doesn't sound like it. I'm hearing things, Ben. Ben, thank you so much for sending the information. Open enrollment does do things to you.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'll end the call and release everybody. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day. Let us know if there are any follow-up questions.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everybody, for joining the call.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.